children, we are working with the same topic as we were doing last time, that is the water bodies of the world. In the first class that we had done, we dealt with the subtopic oceans, and today we are dealing with the topic seas, rivers, lakes and other water bodies. Alright, so please don't get confused, we are still carrying on with the same chapter, water bodies of the world. Okay, so children, seas are large bodies of salty water. Okay, and these bodies may be connected with an ocean. They are smaller than oceans, much smaller than oceans. Okay, certain large shallow bodies of water along continental edges or margins are called the marginal seas. In seas, we can have submarine earthquakes, okay, which can lead to destructive tsunamis like volcanoes, huge landslides, or even large meteorites may fall there and lead to tides. Okay, and there are certain areas called the marginal seas, which are along the margins of the, like between the land and the oceans. These are called the marginal seas, like the Arabian Sea, the Bering Sea, the Mediterranean Sea. Okay. In the sea, we get a wide variety of organisms, okay, like algae, plants, animals. So we have a wide variety of marine habitats. And the sea also provides supplies, large amounts of food for humans, and that is mainly fish. Okay, but then of course there are also varieties of shellfish, mammals, seaweed. Some people do marine life farming also, and people also use the seas for travel, trade, mineral extraction, power generation, for warfare, leisure activities like for swimming, sailing, scuba diving, etc. Okay, and people are not much aware of what pollution they are causing to the seas. Okay, all these activities which are human made create marine pollution. Children, when seas are surrounded by land, then they are called inland seas, like the Sea of Aral or the Dead Sea. Okay, and of course the largest inland body of water is the Caspian Sea. Okay, it is variously classed. People call it the largest lake or even a big sea. And of course you have heard of the Mediterranean Sea. It is a sea which is connected to the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, it is almost completely enclosed by land. Alright, next we come to another subtopic, that is the rivers. What is a river, children? A river is a stream of water or a channel of water. It flows through a channel, through a path in the surface of the ground. Okay, the passage where the river flows is called the riverbed, and the earth on each side of the river is called the riverbank. Generally, a river flows from high area to a lower lying area, and finally it reaches the lake or a sea. Okay, it flows from the hills or the mountains down to the plains. This is all because of gravity. Generally, a river begins as a small stream, and the further it flows, it gets water, it collects water through its different tributaries. Okay, and it becomes larger and larger. So when a smaller river joins a larger river, we call that smaller river a tributary. And when a larger river gets separated from a smaller river, okay, a smaller river leaves a larger river, then we call that a distributary. Wherever a river ends and enters the sea is called the mouth of the river. Okay, and in many rivers of the world we have deltas, which is created by the river flooding the area when it reaches a lake or a sea. A river has got three courses. Okay, the upper course, the middle course, and the lower course. Now, the upper course of a river is when a river remains in the mountains. The source of a river at this stage may be a spring, often on a hill or mountain or glacier or another high place. Okay, children, a spring is water that flows out from under the ground, like underground water that comes to the surface. Sometimes the source of a river may be a lake where lots of water from small streams gather when it rains or snows. A river may begin in mountains when there is snow. The melting of snow runs together to form a small stream that comes down the mountain. As more little streams run in, the main stream gets bigger and bigger until it forms a river. Okay, so in this way, the river goes from the mountains down to the plains. At this stage, the river flows very swiftly and it deepens the valleys. Now the second course is the middle part of a river or the middle course. This part of a river is called a mature river. Okay, so this mature river makes a riverbed that is U-shaped. You can see here in the picture. The river enters the plains. The slopes of the area become much gentler. The speed of the river decreases. Okay. In certain places, a river may be fast and deep, but generally, in the plains, the river's speed gets slower. It is much wider than a young river, but not as wide as an old river. Okay, so here people use bridges. Many cities and towns are built on the banks of these areas. Many farms that keep animals like dairy cows, horses, sheep are all found along these mature rivers because animals can drink from the river, people can utilize the water for their crops as well as for their daily use. It widens the valley. Here, much of the load of the river gets deposited. The river follows a zigzag course, as you can see here, and it creates meanders. Meanders is all the curvy path that a river follows. Okay. And it also forms oxbow lakes. We'll deal with the oxbow lakes in a little while. Now the lower course of a river. Here the land is almost flat. Okay. As a river flows towards its mouth, the countryside around the river often changes from hilly to flat areas. So because the land is flat, the river becomes wider and slower. Okay, so when a river flows out to the sea, it sometimes flows very slowly through sandy or muddy land and makes lots and lots of little islands as it flows. The main stream of the river gets broken into many parts that spread out into a triangle shape like the Greek letter delta. When this happens, it is called the delta of a river. Deltas, children, are places that are not good for towns or farms because it is full of soggy soil. But in this area, we can get a lot of wildlife, birds. It is very good for fishing and also for wildlife preservation. Okay, so we have many wildlife reserves here like the Sundarban deltas in the Ganga Brahmaputra delta. Now, why are rivers important? Very simply, rivers are important because they provide fresh water generally for humans and animals to drink. Okay, they provide good grounds for habitation, for people to live in, because the land is flat and it is very fertile. Okay, cultivation of crops are done here, so lots and lots of people stay here, so the area is very densely populated. Large rivers that we have around the world, major rivers are the Mississippi in North America, Ganga in Asia, Amazon South America, Nile in Africa, Danube in Europe, and the Murray-Darling in Australia. Okay, so let's move on to lakes. Lakes, children, are enclosed bodies of mostly fresh water. Most of the lakes have got fresh water. Why? Because these lakes get water from rivers or streams, right, which are flowing from the mountains. They get water from snowfall or ice or even rainfall. So most of the water found in lakes are fresh water. Most of the lakes don't have access to the open sea. They are land bound. They are within the land. But there are, of course, certain lakes like the Caspian Sea and the Dead Sea which have got salty water. So a lake is an area, children, filled with water, generally in a shape of a basin surrounded by land, generally apart from any river or other outlet that feeds the lake or drains the lake. They are not a part of the ocean or the sea. Okay, they are larger and deeper than ponds, right? And they are natural lakes which are found in mountainous areas, rift zones, areas with ongoing glaciation. Other lakes are also found along the course of rivers also. All lakes are temporary. So sometimes, why are they called temporary? Because sometimes sedimentation may fill them up, or if there is drainage happening and no underground water, then the lake may dry up. Okay, so lakes can be temporary also. Sometimes people also, children, make lakes. Okay, they are man-made lakes also, which are artificial. People use them for industrial or agricultural use, for hydroelectric power generation or domestic water supply, for swimming, for recreational purposes like boating. Okay, for all these purposes. Now, lakes can be divided into 6 different varieties based on their formation. They are the tectonic lakes, the volcanic lakes, the glacial lakes, the karst lakes, salt lakes, and oxbow lakes. The first image here shows a tectonic lake. Tectonic lakes are lakes formed by the deformation and resulting movements of the earth's crust. When the earth moves in, like, it tilts or it folds or it twists or it breaks up, then lakes may be formed. Okay, so these kinds of lakes can be found in Central Africa, even Lake Baikal, the Caspian Sea, the Sea of Aral. These are all tectonic kinds of lakes. The volcanic lakes, that's the one next to the tectonic lake. You can see it. It's in almost a perfect circle. There is a small island also situated in this one that we are showing. Generally, it may just be a circular kind of a lake without any land bodies. These lakes occupy craters, okay, or large basins which are made by volcanoes. These crater lakes are formed in volcanoes and they fill up with precipitation more rapidly than they empty. Okay, so like if there's a big storm or something, then the water comes here but it doesn't go out. All right, so in these times the water keeps on filling up. The volcano may be dormant or it may be extinct, so the water retains there. There's a lava, dried up lava at the bottom. Okay, so that helps the water to be retained and it doesn't seep inside the volcano. and rainfall keeps on happening. So the water keeps on getting collected. It doesn't evaporate much. So that's why the water collects in this manner. An example is a crater lake in Oregon. Glacial lakes, children, are created by the direct action of glaciers and continental ice sheets. A wide variety of glacial processes creates enclosed basins. As a result, there are a wide variety of different types of glacial lakes, and these lakes are in direct contact with ice. Okay, we have active ice that comes there, it is moving, then it settles down. Alright, so the land around it gets eroded, the ice is still in that place. Over time the ice melts, leading to the formation of lakes. So these kinds of lakes are the most numerous lakes in the world. Okay, and you generally find these kinds of lakes in Northern Europe and North America. The one next to the glacial lakes is the karst lakes. These lakes are formed where underground water lies near the ground surface. Then a sinkhole will be filled water as a solution lake. These lakes consist of a large area of standing water that occupies an extensive closed depression in limestone and is called a karst lake. Okay, so limestone, children, is actually a soft kind of a rock. Okay, so it gets eroded and cavities are formed, and these cavities get filled up with water, leading to the formation of the karst lakes. Large parts of Florida have got these kinds of limestone lakes. Salt lakes are also called brine lake. They are inland bodies of water situated in a dry or semi-dry region. They don't have an outlet to the sea, and they contain a high concentration of dissolved salts like sodium chloride, which is the table salt that we use. So people harvest the salt from these lakes also, dry them up, clean them up, and then package and distribute them throughout the world. So we have Great Salt Lake in Utah, the Dead Sea in the Near East. Alright. Then the last kind of lake we have here are the oxbow lakes, which I had mentioned while doing the meanders of a river. These lakes are crescent shaped, like the shape of a moon. Okay? And they are called an oxbow lake because they have got a curved shape. If you look at the picture here, you will see that the two closed ends we have are pointed, okay, and they look like the horns of an ox. These oxbow lakes can be formed in river valleys as a result of the river meandering. Here you can see the river. It has made a huge loop. Over time, the river will start cutting away the land, and it will join in this place. Okay, you can see here this part where the pointer is. So this part over time will get eroded by the water, and the river will go straight and flow in this manner, and this part of the water gets left behind in the form of a lake, which is the formation of this also. This is called an oxbow lake. So eventually this horseshoe bend is formed, and the river cuts through this narrow lake. This new passage then forms the main passage for the river, and the ends of the bend become silted up here. This forms the bow-shaped lake or the horn-shaped lake called the oxbow lakes. The other water bodies that we are dealing with are the Gulf and Bay, a strait, and a lagoon. These pictures show gulfs and bays. To the left you can see a gulf, that is the Gulf of Eden, and in the right we have the Bay of Bengal. Just looking at these pictures also will give you a clearer idea of the difference between a gulf and a bay. Okay, so both bays and gulfs are the places where the land meets water. These water bodies are bigger, okay, they are connected to the sea and they are formed by the erosion of the coastline. Okay, here it gets eroded and here also it has got eroded. In spite of many similarities, it is important to note that they are different also. Both of them are inlets of seas. They are surrounded by land on three sides. But the difference is a gulf is more indented. That means it has gone right in. Okay, it is deeper and enclosed. It is like well covered. Okay, water has eroded the coastline so deeply that it has only a narrow opening to the sea, like the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of Eden. Okay, whereas on the other hand, a bay is also an inlet of sea. It is surrounded by land on three sides, but it has a wider mouth. Okay, it is broad and semicircular in shape. Right? Example is the Bay of Bengal. Now, a strait, children, is that area of water that is naturally formed, narrow and navigable. That means ships and boats and all can easily travel. And it connects two large bodies of water. In the picture here, this is near Iran. This is Qatar here. Bahrain is here. So here is the Persian Gulf. And here is the Gulf of Oman. These two water bodies, which are bigger, is connected by the Strait of Hormuz. As you can see in the picture, there is a curve here. The water has cut away the land. Okay, and there's a narrow neck of land which is joining the bigger water bodies. That is a strait. Most commonly, it is a channel of water that lies between two land masses. Some straits are not navigable because they are too shallow, or they are unnavigable reef or archipelago. Alright, so we may have islands, we may have very shallow land, we may have coral reefs. So sometimes we can't travel on a strait. And straits also collect a lot of the silts and the sediments that a river or a water body brings. And over time, they may even get blocked because of the presence of lots and lots of sedimentation. So here, a strait separates, it's a narrow stretch of water, it separates two land masses, okay, it joins two seas. You can find this is also found between India and Sri Lanka. That is called the Palk Strait. It joins the Gulf of Mannar and the Bay of Bengal. Okay, children, if you remember, previously we had worked on isthmus. Isthmus is not the same as strait. Please don't get confused. A strait is exactly the opposite of an isthmus. A strait is a narrow stretch of water, and isthmus is a narrow stretch of land. A strait separates two land masses, and isthmus joins two land masses. A strait lies between two land masses, connects two larger bodies of water. An isthmus lies between two bodies of water and connects two large land masses. Alright, now we come to lagoons. Lagoons, children, are shallow bodies of water which are separated from a larger body of water by barrier islands or reefs. Okay, an arm of the land may extend. The sea or the ocean may bring deposits, sediments, and deposit it along the coastal area. and a body of water may get trapped in it. Alright. These lagoons have sometimes got a narrow opening to the sea. Sometimes they don't have any opening to the sea, but they are not lakes because they are located around the coastal area. Okay? Lagoons are of two types. They may be atoll lagoons or coastal lagoons. Atoll lagoons, children, form when coral reefs grow upwards while the islands that the reefs surround subside. So the land goes down, the corals rise up, and they enclose a body of water. Okay. These atoll lagoons are generally deep. But sometimes the coast slopes gently. Okay. And the sea may drop, the sea level may drop. Okay. When we have low tides, then this may cause a certain area to be filled with water, and there may be a stretch of land before the sea or the ocean is reached. So this, this may create a lagoon, and these kinds of lagoons are generally shallower. Chilika Lake in the eastern coast of India is a lagoon. So with that, we have come to the end of our subtopic, seas, rivers, lakes, and other water bodies. Please go through the video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I have assigned homework for you all. Please complete it and submit it. Thank you, children, and stay safe.